Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll, whose real name was Charles Ludwig Dodson, was an English author, poet, and mathematician. He is renowned for his most famous works, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and its sequel, Through the Looking Glass. Carroll was noted for his ability with wordplay, logic, and his contributions to the genre of literary nonsense. While his most famous works are for children, Carroll's clever and whimsical style appeals to readers of all ages. Carroll's life was closely associated with Christ Church, Oxford, where he spent much of his life as a scholar and a teacher. His friendship with Alice Liddell, the daughter of Henry Liddell, the Dean of Christ Church, is widely linked to the inspiration for the character Alice in Wonderland, although Carroll himself denied this connection. Lewis Carroll was an avid puzzler and created word ladder puzzles, which he called doublets. He published these puzzles in his weekly column for Vanity Fair magazine between 1879 and 1881. His influence on literature and popular culture is undeniable, with societies dedicated to promoting and enjoying his works found worldwide. In recognition of his literary contributions, a memorial stone to Carroll was unveiled at Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey in 1982. Lewis Carroll's literary works include a range of poems, novels, and puzzles, which include Miss Jones, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Phantasmagoria, Through the Looking Glass, The Hunting of the Snark, A Tangled Tale, Sylvie and Bruno, and many more. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, commonly known as Alice in Wonderland, is an English novel by Lewis Carroll published in 1865. This whimsical tale follows the journey of a young girl named Alice as she falls through a rabbit hole into a fantastical world inhabited by anthropomorphic creatures. The novel is celebrated for its contributions to the literary nonsense genre. The story begins with Alice, a young girl who falls asleep in a meadow and dreams that she follows the white rabbit down a rabbit hole. In this surreal world, she encounters a series of peculiar and illogical creatures and experiences dramatic changes in her size. Her adventures include encounters with the hookah smoking caterpillar, the Duchess with a baby that transforms into a pig, and the mischievous Cheshire cat. She also attends an endless and mad tea party with the Mad Hatter and the March Hare, where nothing is as it seems. Alice participates in a bizarre game of croquet using a flamingo as a mallet and hedgehogs as balls. Meanwhile, the Queen calls for the execution of almost everyone present. Later, she becomes a witness in the trial of the Knave of Hearts, who is accused of stealing the Queen's tarts. As the trial proceeds, Alice realizes that the characters are merely playing cards and she wakes up from her dream. Carroll initially shared the story of Alice in Wonderland with Lorena, Alice, and Edith Liddell during a picnic in July 1862. At Alice's request, he wrote the stories for her, leading to the creation of the handwritten collection called Alice's Adventures Underground. A visitor to the Liddell home saw the storybook and encouraged Carroll to publish it. Carroll subsequently revised and expanded the work. When it was first published, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland perplexed critics who didn't immediately grasp the appeal of its nonsense. However, Carroll's imaginative wordplay, whimsical logic, and an understanding of how children's minds work found a receptive audience among young readers. The book inspired a sequel, Through the Looking Glass, which was dated 1872 but published in December 1871. By the end of the 19th century, Alice's Adventures had become the most popular children's book in England, and it soon gained popularity worldwide. It served as a foundation for various adaptations in film, theatre, ballet, and scholarly analysis. Through the Looking Glass. Through the Looking Glass is a book by Lewis Carroll dated 1872 but published in December 1871. It serves as a sequel to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and describes Alice's further adventures as she enters a surreal world dominated by chessboards and chess pieces. Jabberwocky. Jabberwocky is a famous nonsense poem written by Lewis Carroll, featured in his 1871 novel Through the Looking Glass. In the poem, the protagonist Alice comes across a book with seemingly unintelligible language, which she discovers is written in mirror writing. By holding a mirror to the verses, she reads the reflected version of Jabberwocky. The poem is celebrated for its playful, whimsical language and has contributed new words and neologisms to the English language, such as galumphing and chortle. James Barrie. Sir James Matthew Barrie, 1st Baronet, was a Scottish novelist and playwright best known for creating the beloved character Peter Pan. Born and educated in Scotland, he later moved to London, where he wrote numerous successful novels and plays. It was in London that he met Llewellyn Davies Boyce, who became the inspiration for his tales of a magical boy. His work, particularly Peter Pan, played a significant role in popularizing the name Wendy. Barrie unofficially adopted the Davies boys after the death of their parents. His contributions were acknowledged with a baronetcy in 1913, bestowed by George V, and membership in the Order of Merit in the 1922 New Year Honours. Prior to his passing, Barrie bequeathed the rights to the Peter Pan works to the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children in London, ensuring their ongoing benefit. Peter Pan, or the Boy Who Would Not Grow Up. Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Would Not Grow Up, is a play written by Scottish playwright J.M. Barrie. It was first produced in 1904 and introduced audiences to the enduring character of Peter Pan. While Peter Pan initially made an appearance in Barrie's novel The Little White Bird, he is most renowned as the central figure in this play. Over the years, the play underwent revisions, and the definitive version, consisting of 5 acts, was published in 1928. This work brought to life the character of Peter Pan, the eternally youthful boy, becoming a significant addition to English-speaking literature and culture. Summary of the play. The play commences in the Darling household's nursery in London, where Wendy, John, and Michael are preparing for bedtime. Their routine is disrupted when Peter Pan and the fairy Tinker Bell arrive. Peter is on a quest to retrieve his lost shadow, which he had misplaced earlier. He shares that he resides in the Neverland, serving as the leader of the Lost Boys, children who fell out of their prams when their nurses were not looking. Peter invites Wendy to come to the Neverland and tell stories to the Lost Boys, encouraging her brothers to join. Using fairy dust, Peter helps them take flight, and they land on an island inhabited by the Lost Boys, as well as menacing pirates led by Captain Hook, Peter's arch-nemesis. There is also a crocodile which, after tasting Hook's hand, has a hankering for more. This crocodile's approach can be heard by the ticking of a swallowed clock. Additionally, there is Tiger Lily, who leads a group of redskin braves and vies with Wendy and the jealous Tinker Bell for Peter's affection. However, Peter remains mostly unresponsive to their advances. The story unfolds with magical adventures and pirate conflicts. Eventually, the Darling children decide to return home, taking the Lost Boys with them. But the pirates seize them. As they face the ominous prospect of walking the plank, Peter Pan stages a daring rescue, leading the Lost Boys to overpower and defeat the pirates. Finally, the children return to London, while Peter Pan remains in the Neverland, perpetually a boy who refuses to grow up.